influence from the punk scene and your stuff, and you know, there was a lot of tough music that came out of England in those years, you know, and I know those early Buzzcock records, all the Clash singles, because you couldn't get the records at the time, you had to get the singles. You know, that stuff found its way into the subtext of Darkness on the Edge of Town, along with sort of a cinematicness that was just part of, I think, of, you know, growing up on all the westerns or growing up on, and so the record ended up being a blend of those things in a funny way, a blend of there was an element of what you'd absorbed from John Ford westerns. Also, you traveled yourself now, you know, and we traveled through the West, and you'd seen some of it firsthand, and you've been out in it firsthand, and those things all kind of, you know, connected for me. And when I was writing that stuff in my room, and then also wanting to be about something, I think that was important to me. You know, I said, well, the people that I liked sort of they gathered their times in and found a way to contextualize it in a language to speak about the events of the day. I said, that's what I want to do if I can do it, you know?
There's a choice that you made after you had quite a degree of success to change your language. I mean, it's not like a theoretical thing. You just did it. It was an instinctive thing, obviously. But if Wild Billy is in some kind of carnival colors, these songs are in another kind. They're in black and white.
You know, the 3 years from, say, when you're 25 to 28, you know, those are big years in those. They take up a lot bigger percentage of your life than now. And so you change a lot. And also the position you're in. It was like I was both elated and embarrassed by like my good fortune, you know. It was like, whoa, you know. I mean, I know I worked hard for all this stuff, and so part of Darkness was me trying to suss through a lot of those issues. And in the end, my music was always about identity, identity, identity. Who am I? Where do I belong? What, you know, what's the code I'm trying to live by? All of these things that are about all identity issues. And so Darkness on the Edge of Town was really inspired by that search for all right. I've been through, you know, I had that first type of success, but what does that make me? You know, what does that make me now? And the only thing I knew to do was to stand very hard and connect with the few things I was sure of, which was, you know, I suppose where I come from and all those things. It wasn't a result of any social consciousness. Really, it was purely a matter of my own inner psychological life and search for, like, who do I want to be? Who am I going to be?
But contained within your relationship with the audience is because you become popular, and because the songs, even when they were about dark issues and they're played with such fervor, and people they kind of feel they're your buddy. Of course, this they said about George Bush, you know, the lesser as well. But you know that thing they said that he, you know, that people wanted to have a beer with him, and that was part of his appeal. And that's the weird the weird conundrum here as a writer, because sometimes when you're writing songs and examining identity, and even when you start writing character voices, you are not portraying you, the good-hearted man. It could be a conflicted man. It can be the conflict in it, and there's a real balance to be struck between a showman and artist in this moment.
I think, you know, theater is drama. I think you know, songwriters, filmmakers you're drawn to conflict. It's one of the things that people go to music for, I think, and any kind of art for. Is like, hey, we're all conflicted inside. So how do you begin to contextualize some of that conflict? How do you make sense out of it? How do you build something out of it instead of letting it destroy you? You know, how do you make something out of it? And I know when I moved into Darkness, I was interested in a few things. One was adulthood. I didn't feel particularly young at 27 or 28 years old. You know, I had gotten into country music, and I'd begun to get into some Woody Guthrie, and I wanted my songs. I said, I want to write something I can sing when I'm the ripe old age of 40, please, you know, and that will feel real and connected to me, you know. And I remember very consciously thinking about that at the time. So I wanted to move into adult issues. And then the second thing you're doing is you're playing with a certain level of ferocity for your own, your own survival, you know. And for one reason, I've always believed rock and roll musicians, the greatest rock and roll musicians are desperate men. You know, it's like you've got to have something bothering you all the time.
Yeah. It's you can't always be a nice guy in the song, is what it is.
You know, why songs are good is because it's like in art and in love. It's like, hey, 1 and 1 makes 3. I see 1 and 1. It does. In music, if it makes 2, you fail, my friends. You know, if you're painting and all you got is a paint and a canvas, you fail. If all you got your notes and you failed. You've got to find that third thing that you don't completely understand, but that is truly coming up from inside of you. And you can put it in you can set it any place. You can choose any type of character. But if you don't reach down and touch that thing, then you're just not going to have anything to say, and it's not going to feel like it has life and breath in it. You're not going to create something real, and it's not going to feel authentic, you know. So I worked hard on those things.
Yes, indeed.